Good afternoon. I'm George Herbig, Chief Forecaster, here with Weather Now, Kentucky. We do have some storms rolling now. I'm already tongue twisted. We're 5 seconds in. We have some storms rolling now through western Kentucky, and we are going to have some more tonight as well as tomorrow. I wanted to break down kind of where we're at the moment with, of course, today's storms, what's happening right now, as well as looking a little bit into tomorrow's storms activity as well. I think tomorrow has the best chance for severe weather that we've seen this week. So we'll break all that down for you, of course. As you're coming into the broadcast, we're going to give it about 60 seconds before we start rolling on things. So if you wouldn't mind, say hello as you're coming in so I can see who's in here, as well as liking and sharing the broadcast. If you share it to your news feed over there on Facebook, helps your friends and family keep informed, helps us to spread our information out as well. So I appreciate that, and thank you for that. And of course, if you're on YouTube, you can share and copy the link there. Of course, just say hello and throw a thumbs up on the video. But we'll give it about 45 seconds before we start diving into everything. Once again, we do have storms rolling into West Kentucky right now. Those will impact all of Kentucky tonight. And then again, we have more storms overnight, as well as another round tomorrow afternoon and a final round tomorrow evening. And tomorrow evening might be the most severe chances that we've seen out of all the rounds the last few days. So we still have quite a bit of weather to go here. So we're going to break all that down for you, show you all the outlooks, all the model data, and show you what's happening in your neck of the woods. Just give us about 30 more seconds. Those notifications and alerts for when we go live sometimes go out a little bit slower for some folks, so I like to give it a little bit of time. Kelsey, hello. Betty, hello. Lori, hello from Vine Grove. Eric, hey, how are you doing? Tara, hello from Lexington. Thank you very much. Faith, good evening to you. Somerset, Kentucky. Alvin, hello. Roach is from Jefferson County. Hello, how are you? Phoenicia, I hope I'm saying that correctly. I know I'm not, but thank you for tuning in. Stacy says Owensboro's checking in, looking pretty serious. We'll go over your area. JC, hello. I'm sorry, Brittany, hello. Elsie, hello from Somerset. A lot of Somerset folks in here over the last few months. Nice to meet you guys. Tina, hello out of Bardstown. Todd, hello out of Prestonsburg. Hello from Rineyville, Carrie. Once again, if you're just now hopping into the broadcast, I'm George Herbig, Chief Forecaster here with W&K, and we do have some more weather to talk about here with you as more storms are moving into western Kentucky right now, and then another round later on tonight, an additional round tomorrow morning, an additional round tomorrow evening. And tomorrow evening storms are perhaps the highest chance of severe weather we've had for the last 3 or 4 days, with all this, I call it one big event happening here. But nonetheless, we'll talk about all those details with you. We'll give it about 10 more seconds or so, and then we'll start diving into everything. Thank you to everyone that's sharing and liking the broadcast. I appreciate that a ton. You're helping us out, and you're helping your friends and family out, getting them informed as well. Thank you very much. We appreciate that. Alicia, hello from McCreary. We got Irvington in here with Venus. Custer, Central City, and Murray. A lot of Facebook tonight. Facebook's really showing out this evening, huh? You're the only one we watch since our tornado. We warned our kids in London. We pray for this channel. Appreciate that, Alvin. Thank you very much. Yeah, there was another unwarned, perhaps I want to rephrase that. Perhaps unwarned tornado last night for a little bit. It eventually became warned, but I think there were damages that we saw before the warning came out. That's why we triggered the broadcast last night. Okay. All right, I see a lot of questions already popping through here. Devin, good evening to you. Caitlin out of Moorhead. Kate out of Somerville, hello from Hopkinsville. Chelsea, Louisville, represented by Laura, and Ashley representing Radcliffe. Okay, let's go ahead and pull up our radar here. I want to start with the radar and show you kind of what we're looking at on the WeatherWise radar here. So we do have some activity pushing into far western Kentucky right now. Nothing quite severe at the moment. And again, I made this forecast post around noon. I don't really expect this part to really be severe. It's just going to be loud. Could we see a couple of special weather statements out of this? Yes. But it's more so going to be loud than anything. By the way, it looks like there's a couple of like baby multi-cells up here in Owensboro to going down toward Morgantown and Bowling Green. Those are just prefrontal cells just moving on through here. Don't really expect those to be severe as well, but they, again, I do think for this round anyway, this round's going to be more loud and more scary looking than actually a real threat, okay? It's tomorrow night's round, and again, we're going to talk about that. It's tomorrow night's round that really concerns me, and the overnight round tonight looks to be pretty rowdy as well. I'll talk about that with you too. It could be a long night for Western Kentucky. You know, I'll just put it out there for you. We'll talk about all of that, okay? But right now on your screen, what you're seeing is a nice strong line of thunderstorms pushing into Bardwell, Clinton, heading out toward Mayfield and Murray, and Benton and Paducah here soon. Once again, this will push all through Kentucky throughout the night. Once it gets to about Lexington, Frankfort, Danville, Somerset, Campbellsville area, we'll start to see these showers or thunderstorms begin to fade away. I don't really expect too many of these to actually make it all the way into eastern Kentucky. What you're seeing on your screen right now will probably be about maybe 20% of that may make it all the way through Kentucky. So again, these will eventually fade as they get more into our state. All right. So with this round, I'm not really expecting a lot. Okay, it's the overnight and then tomorrow night that I'm expecting a whole lot. So again, for this round, it's more so loud than anything. Matter of fact, we do have a live cam from Hascams out of Gage, Kentucky. They've given us access to now. Let me see if there's an actual like business associated with that, or if it's just a personal. That's from Travis out of Gage, Kentucky, who actually owns this. Travis Howell, I'm hoping I say that name correctly, who gave us access to the camera there. So we now have eyeballs, at least in some capacity, out in western Kentucky. And you can see right there on your screen, it's looking pretty active out there. Look at those clouds rolling on through. Again, we do see some nice little walls in there. So again, really, it's just going to look a lot more scary and sound a lot more loud than what it actually really is, okay? So let's go ahead and pull this on over here. I'm going to turn off the radar for a little bit, turn off these warnings that we have here. I'm actually going to take this mini cam that you see in the left there. I'm going to switch that over to the Gage, Kentucky one and keep that on that one for a little bit. Hopefully it doesn't freeze. Oh my goodness, it actually worked correctly. Let's go. So again, the camera that you're seeing there is near Gage, Kentucky, which is out there toward Paducah on the western side of the state. Okay. What I want to show you now is the outlooks that we're looking at for the next couple of days here. And then we're going to show you the actual model data as well, because again, we are not done with not only storms, but the chance for severe weather, okay? Right now, today, we do have a level 1 out of 5 risk into western Kentucky by the Storm Prediction Center. Again, the main mode being damaging winds. Really no tornado threat with this. The overnight one, however, on the last few model runs has been showing a little bit more spin with it. I'll show you that here in just a moment, okay? But the main mode today, or the main hazard area today, is actually not going to be in our area. It's going to be out here toward Arkansas, Oklahoma, and toward Texas. That's where we're looking at for the, I guess, peak of this event today. So that's today's outlook. As for tomorrow, now here's tomorrow's outlook. And I do have a problem with this, okay? It's a level 1 out of 5 risk for pretty much everyone in the state, okay? And the reason that I have a problem with this is because there is enough evidence to suggest that there should be a level 2 out of 5 risk or a slight risk already into Kentucky for tomorrow, okay? And the reason for that is the low, and I'm going to show you on the model data, but just for example, we have a low pressure that's going to be kind of stalled out here toward western Kentucky. That's going to try and travel up here toward the Ohio River. Exactly how far north it goes is really going to be key on which area is going to be the peak area for severe weather tomorrow. Okay, for example, if it goes a little bit down here, right, it's going to be right around the line of the low pressure and to the south. So you get my idea. So the track of the low pressure is really going to be important for tomorrow. And I think that might be why we haven't seen the slight risk issued yet for Kentucky, is only because they're not exactly sure where the low pressure is going to go for tomorrow, because the 4 close range models that we look at all have a different idea. Some of them have the low pressure here. Some of them have it here. Some of them have it all the way down in Tennessee. And then there's one that has it all the way up here towards Cincinnati. So the median of that would probably be somewhere in here, right? So that's probably why we haven't seen the slight risk out. But the reason that's important is because, and this doesn't really happen a lot in Kentucky. Usually this happens more into Nebraska or Iowa or somewhere to the northwest a little bit, okay? But you have something called the triple point. Basically what that is the warm front coming up, the moisture coming up, and the wind fields all kind of meeting up in the same area near the low pressure. Okay, so whoever's near that low pressure and within, let's say, 100 miles of the low pressure, right? That's the area that's going to see the bulk of the severe weather tomorrow night. So let's say, for example, that low pressure gets to here and stalls or between 5 to 8 o'clock. Well, then here you would probably see the best risk for severe weather tomorrow night. Okay, and that's kind of my idea right now. And that's kind of why I'm a little bit, not irritated, but more so confused on why we don't see a slight risk out into Kentucky yet, because every time we get a low pressure with a triple point, with a wind, with the wind flow, like we're going to see this, several hundred feet up, several thousand feet up, almost always results in a slight risk being issued. And if there's more juice to be added to it, then you're looking at the potential for even higher risk of severe weather. And I think another reason why we're not seeing that risk being issued yet is because on Wednesday afternoon and Wednesday morning, we're going to see several rounds of thunderstorms coming through Kentucky. Tonight, overnight, Wednesday morning, Wednesday afternoon. And what that does is it kind of blocks the best energy to the south of those storms. So let's say the storms are, in here all day Wednesday, right? Well, the best energy is actually going to be down here, a little bit displaced from where the best location is. So that's another kind of a red flag for tomorrow, or not even red flag, but what I like to call a mitigating factor or a limiting factor for storms. So another big thing that we're looking at here for tomorrow, and again, I'm going to show you the model data as well, is yes, we might have the low pressure here. And yes, let's say we have a window where we have some sun peek through, energy gets up into Kentucky, and we're about ready to go. Well, another problem is our low pressure is not very strong, okay? So one thing we're going to be lacking is lapse rates. Let's see if I can write this to where you can, come on, Picasso. That T might be the worst. That's supposed to be a T, by the way. Might be the worst T I've ever drawn. But anyway, another thing that we're lacking is lapse rates. Okay, and that's something else that you need that a lot of people overlook when you're talking about the potential for severe weather. Tomorrow, while there are a lot of things in place to produce, anything from damaging winds to tornadoes to a little bit of hail, we are missing a couple of things, and we might even be a little bit too moist tomorrow. And what happens most times when we get too moist in an event is that sometimes we just get a lot, and I mean a lot of rainfall. All right. So what you almost need to produce severe weather is a little bit of dry air to mix in, and we're not really seeing that on the model data as well. So you can kind of make the argument that this should be a 1 out of 5 risk. I still feel like this should be a 2 out of 5 risk because almost regardless, we always see it. Near that triple point, near that low pressure that we just talked about a couple of moments ago, even with all the mitigating factors that we just pointed out, you almost always get a few severe warnings. And we had a slight risk out yesterday, right? Yesterday. And what did it result in? A few severe warnings. So you can argue that since you put a slight risk out yesterday, there should be a slight risk out for tomorrow for Kentucky. So again, and I do think that would probably cover a lot of, let's say let me put this out there. If I had to put a slight risk out for tomorrow, it would probably look something like this. This is probably what it would look like. Something close to that. And then this would stay in the 1 out of 5, and then this would be the 2 out of 5. So basically along the I-64 corridor to points north, and then into western Kentucky. Okay, so I don't know if they're going to do it or not. If not, we'll make our own forecast and do it because that's just what we do. But that's where I would put the level 2 out of 5 risk if one is issued for tomorrow. Because again, I think tomorrow we have a bit more spin in the atmosphere since we're actually going to be closer to a low pressure than we have been at all during this past few days. All right, so that's the outlooks there. I do want to show you real quickly, we do have a risk for excessive rainfall to a 15% chance in yellow, a 5% chance in green. This is for today. As you can see, it kind of matches up with what I told you earlier. Tonight, we're going to have those storms move through that are already knocking into western Kentucky. They're going to move across the state. Then by the time they get to about Lexington, Danville, Campbellsville, they're going to start to fade away. And that's why you see the eastern portion of Kentucky and that lesser chance for excessive rainfall. As for tomorrow, eastern Kentucky, that will be your time once again to pick up some more rainfall. This is more so going to be for Wednesday morning, anywhere around sunrise to lunchtime. I think you're going to see a lot of rainfall tomorrow morning, going from the time you leave for work to about lunchtime or so. Lots of rainfall into eastern Kentucky, maybe even a couple to 3 inches of rainfall tomorrow. All right. So those are your outlooks from the SPC and the WPC. Let's look at some of the model data now. The model data looks like, that camera out of gauge is looking really dark there. So the model data looks like this. Do we have a new run in yet? Yes, we do. So you'll see that it notices the line pushing into western Kentucky. Now, the model does have this really fading away very, very fast. I don't think it does fade away that fast. As you can see here, it's still trucking along quite well, and we see some convection popping up in front of it. I don't think it's going to suddenly just fade out of nowhere like the model is trying to show. All right. So just keep in mind, I think it's going to be a little bit more active than this, let's say around 9 p.m. or so, okay? Pushing to about 10 p.m., 11 p.m., it has us clearing out. I really don't think that's the case. I really just don't think that's the case. I think we see another line of storms. It tries to ignite another line of storms now at about 3 a.m. Eastern time. I think that second line of storms is probably going to ignite closer to about 1 a.m., maybe midnight. Eastern time. So I think the model's a little bit slow right now. And you can see it's quite strong. A lot of purple in there, even some whites showing up. Could be potential for some severe weather. This is for Wednesday at 4 a.m. Central, 5 a.m. Eastern, around Henderson, Owensboro, going back down into Madisonville. So again, I think another very strong line early Wednesday morning, maybe before most folks wake up. You'll probably wake up to this if you're in Western Kentucky. Advancing this forward, you'll see that just balloons into a massive just group of thunder showers there, with a lot of purple being involved there, indicating perhaps some small rotations happening. Again, want to point out, rotation does not always equal tornado. It can equal downdrafts of heavier rains, or it can equal downdrafts of downburst of winds. It can equal a lot of things, okay? But the model is trying to show some rotation occurring with a lot of these storms, probably leading to some larger raindrops, and of course, perhaps the chance at some brief damaging winds. This is valid for 7 a.m. on Wednesday. And you can see what I mean. Wednesday morning into central and eastern Kentucky, just an absolute wall of rain into those areas until around lunchtime or so. The model stops there, so let's go ahead and go back to an older run that goes out to 48 hours here. We'll go back to where we were. You can see it's pretty consistent with its idea. And then by about lunchtime on Wednesday, most folks will clear out. It does try to ignite a small little thin line here around lunchtime on Wednesday. I don't know if that's actually going to happen, because oftentimes when we get into setups like this particular model can what we call over-convect, which basically tries to put too much rain out there or tries to ignite too many lines of storms. I think this might be the case here. We might see a couple of rogue cells around lunchtime on Wednesday, but as far as a line of storms, I don't really see that happening. Okay, and it quickly tries to fade it away by about 3 p.m., 4 p.m., 5 p.m., 6 p.m., and here we go around 6 to 7 p.m. tomorrow, Eastern time or so. Some cells popping up here into central Kentucky, some cells popping up here into the Ohio River area, and these do have the potential to be severe. As I push us forward to around 8 p.m. Eastern time, you'll see those are traveling to the north there, indicating that perhaps they have the motion to be severe. Again, we have these storms traveling toward that low pressure as it's beginning to swing. Again, so this might, the motion itself, that's really what it is tomorrow. Tomorrow, it's not really about the energy that we have available or the fuel in the atmosphere or the gas. It's about the motion of the storms. Again, pretty rare for us in Kentucky. We don't usually deal with south to north moving storms like this. We don't, that's just not really typical for us. But it's that motion that really tries to ignite some rotating winds, even in a lower, what would be technically a more stable atmosphere. All right. Pushing us forward about 9 to 10 p.m. You'll see what I was talking about, that line of storm stretching basically along the I-64 corridor there and back toward the Ohio River. This is where that low pressure set up. So if I click over here and go to this one and show you, that low pressure, let me try to make a big L, is right in here, okay? And it's kind of stretching back in here. There might be multiple short waves that try to attach to it, and then it kind of just sets up and stalls along the Ohio River. And there's that low pressure now starting to show up into central Kentucky as a new one tries to take the energy away from the old one. And again, it's all about where those really set up there. And that travels out to the northeast and then brings some backside showers from it that could also be severe. So there is the potential for a couple of rounds of severe weather on Wednesday night. The main mode will be damaging winds. Once again, you've heard us say that a lot. The main risk tomorrow is going to be damaging winds. And that exists pretty much, and that concern pretty much exists for the entire state. So it really doesn't matter where you live tomorrow. The answer is going to be the same for you. You have a chance to see thunderstorms that can produce damaging winds, and there is enough spin in the atmosphere to produce maybe a quick spin-up tornado. It wouldn't be anything super strong. It would not be anything historic. It would not be anything life-altering. But it would be, a tornado is a tornado. So, again, we do see that spin possibly occurring here. And then that backside line that I talked to you about trying to show up around Wednesday night going into Thursday morning. And then finally on about Thursday, we begin to clear out for most folks. Eastern Kentucky gets a little bit of backside rain showers. But by Friday, almost everyone's clear. And then a beautiful weekend sets up. And we're finally done with this crazy event here. What I want to show you real quickly that I forgot to pull up here. Let me pull this over here real quick. There we go. I do want to show you the precipitation that we've been looking at here. Now, some of these numbers feel a little bit off to me. Like, for example, I know there's been more rain in E-Town than a quarter to a half inch. That's just not accurate. But again, look out here to Western Kentucky where they've had... Wait, you guys can barely see that. I just realized you guys can barely see that. Let's... How am I zooming out and it's creating a what in the world? Okay, that makes no sense to me at all. I am zooming out and it's zooming in on the stream. Let me do it this way then. You guys still can't see that. That's insane. Anyway, just know there's been a lot of rainfall. Okay, that's how we're gonna do that. That's how we're gonna do that. Okay, here is that radar real quickly. I'll pull it up. I'll answer a few questions, but that's kind of the breakdown of where we're at. Let me get in some of your questions at this point. Again, I do want to reiterate that the answers are probably going to be pretty similar no matter where you live at, so just expect that answer. Lee says hello from Meade County. Hello. Chris, thank you for that update out of Ohio County. If there are any tornadoes tomorrow, how bad will they be? They would probably be of the quick, like weak spin up category. I wouldn't expect anything greater than EF1, really. You know, and again, even that's probably going to be a long shot. I'm not saying that there's going to be a guarantee of a breakout of tornadoes tomorrow. I just say I wouldn't be surprised to see 1 or 2 warnings. Because again, there is just enough spin since we are closer to that low pressure that we described for there to be a chance at a spin up tornado or 2. The greatest threat is northwestern Kentucky. No, right now, I would say the greatest threat is basically along the Ohio River tomorrow, which does include northwestern Kentucky. But again, that could change depending upon how far north that low pressure comes, guys. It's going to be all dependent upon that. Once again, that low pressure can be here, it can be here, it can be here, it can be here. So it just depends on where it sets up. It could even be all the way up here into Indiana, right? So it just depends on where that sets up. That's why we haven't really made a forecast yet, because I feel like making one at this point is probably a bit irresponsible. Just because, again, I do have a good feeling where it would end up, but feeling is not the same as actually having evidence to support that. Have you been losing some weight? I don't think so. I think I just shaved my head. Every time I shave my head, it makes me look skinnier. Oh, man. No, but I do need to lose some. I do need to lose some. Jalen, I think everyone should be on alert for tomorrow. And again, I don't say that to scare everybody. Don't think I'm fear-mongering or hype-mongering you. I'm just saying I think everyone in the state, you can kind of see it for yourself here. Once again, if I turn on the outlook for tomorrow, you can see it covers everyone in the state, right? So the answer is going to be, yeah, everyone kind of needs to pay attention tomorrow, not just one particular area. Biker, I appreciate that over there on YouTube. Well, Brian, Brian asked George, around what time is this in the morning? We do have that graphic out on our Facebook and Twitter. You can go look at that. But it just depends on where you live at. I would just say this. Expect off and on thunderstorms pretty much all night going into Wednesday morning. And then expect storms to kind of clear out right around lunchtime or so. And then we'll have another round of storms tomorrow night. I would just say expect thunderstorms off and on, really. Danielle, I appreciate that. How's the new office been coming along? We're getting there, Devin. I did throw a big rug down yesterday and put in some of these sound dampening blankets in front of me that you guys can't see. And then some sound dampening panels above to make it hopefully sound a little bit better on the microphone. And then we're just kind of saving up some money to get some furniture for in here. A little bit at a time. Jay, I appreciate that, my friend. Olivia asks, so should we be worried in a mobile home in West Kentucky today, overnight, and tomorrow? I don't think it's anything you really need to move or relocate for, because again, the chances aren't that high. I really only say that when we get like 5% or greater. But I would just say keep an eye on things and have a backup plan ready. Yeah, I think Somerset would probably be fine. I think the bigger threats tomorrow probably or tonight are definitely for Western Kentucky. Tomorrow's probably north of you, if I had to guess. Bryce asked about the rainfall opportunities. I did forget to put that on. Let me put that on for you. Turn off the radar here. Wow, it looks messy. Here are the rainfall opportunities over the next 72 hours. Now, keep in mind, most folks already have between 1 to 2 inches on the ground. Some folks have up to 3 to 4 inches on the ground already. This does not include those numbers. But I'll turn on where's my inspector tool? Oh, wait, I can just click on it, duh. But these darker colors that you see here indicate probably about 1 to 2 inches. Up here toward Louisville near the Ohio River, looking at about 2 to 3 inches. And then down here toward like Somerset, London, down there in the bottom corner of the state, 2 to maybe 3 inches there. Relative 1 to 3 inches over here for Eastern Kentucky. Then lighter amounts back out here toward Western Kentucky. I would say probably along I-65 to points east, where like Nicholasville, Danville, Berea, Campbellsville, Somerset, Prestonsburg, Frankfort, Lexington. Those areas to me have the better chances to pick up another 2 to 3 inches of rainfall. Because again, that's where a lot of the showers really stall out tomorrow around lunch or before lunchtime, I should say. Oh my goodness, I almost forgot. Let me give you a quick message from our sponsors real quickly before they get mad at me. You know, they are the people that allow us to be here for you guys 24/7. Only takes 90 seconds. When we get done with the ad break, I will be back here to answer more questions for you. I just wanted to take a quick moment to say thank you to our sponsors, Hyper Roofing. If you're in or around Hardin County, make sure you get your roof checked out before we head into the second severe season. You guys know it always happens in the fall and winter time. Make sure you get that roof checked out. Don't be reactive, be proactive. Hyper Roofing, there'll be a link to it down in the description below the video. Right Implement is a legendary Kentucky company that's been around for decades. Make sure you go check them out if you have any outdoor equipment or apparel needs, and they're always running discounts. I could add all of them in here, but they always have so many things going on, changing each month. Make sure you just go check out their social medias and see what they have to offer you, or stop in a store at any of their 15 locations. Once Upon a Child in Elizabethtown, Kentucky, and on Outer Loop in Louisville, Kentucky, once again, like Right Implement, has a lot of deals going on. We have posted their calendars, and I'll add it into the video here for you to see. And again, just another great business that's family owned and operated, and just a people that you want to support. Don't forget, you can sell your clothes back to them as well. The same thing can be said for Plato's Closet in Elizabethtown, Kentucky, owned by the same folks. Another phenomenal place for you to save money on shopping for clothes, or go take advantage of clothes that you don't use anymore and sell them back for some cash to help get you some groceries or anything else you might need. Hey, listen, it's hard out here. It's hard out here right now. Take advantage of that. Again, that's Plato's Closet in Elizabethtown, Kentucky. FBI Buildings is new to Kentucky, but they're not new to building pole barns, buildings, residential and commercial, so on and so forth. They also offer free estimates, and they have a large team of really phenomenal engineers. Make sure you take advantage of that free estimate and think of FBI Buildings for any of your projects or renovations or remodels. Thank you to FBI Buildings. You can head to FBIbuildings.com for that free estimate. Thank you to all of our sponsors, but now let's get back into the video. All right. Thank you again to our sponsors. Again, they're the big reason we can be here for you guys 24/7. So thank you to them. Hope you consider supporting them the way that they support us. Thank you to all of our sponsors. All right. Goodness, I almost forgot to do that. That would have not been good. Are severe storms and tornadoes common in Bell County during the fall and winter time? I just moved here from New York. You know, they're not as common as in the springtime. Springtime's obviously the most common time for severe weather in Kentucky. But yes, we do usually get a few severe systems in the fall and winter time. Do I need to be prepared tonight and tomorrow in Muhlenberg? Also, when can I expect it to be past us? Again, I'm going to give you guys very general answers. We have multiple rounds of storms for everyone tomorrow, as well as tonight. So my advice to you is to expect thunderstorm activity off and on throughout tonight, overnight, into tomorrow, as well as I think everyone needs to be paying attention tomorrow. Hopefully by tonight, around 9 p.m. or so, I can give you guys a nice update as to what to expect for tomorrow evening. But I need some of these models to be in better agreement for that to happen. Well, Mount Olivet see bad weather. Ava asked, I think Mount Olivet's probably in that position to see some strong weather tomorrow night, again, just like everyone else in the state. But I think your main time frame is tomorrow night. Again, the answer is going to be pretty much the same for everyone because everyone's in the same risk for tomorrow. No, I just checked a little bit ago. There wasn't any rotation. I'll check again for you. Yeah, there is no rotation at all. Yeah, nothing happening. No. Nothing even remotely close. You're good. What about Hart County? What about Albany, Kentucky? What about... There's a few other places, Manchester, Kentucky. Again, I want to reiterate, the answer is going to be pretty much the same for all of you guys. And that's not to be, simple. It's just true. I mean, look, everyone is in the same risk for tomorrow, right? So clicking on day 2, the entire state is in the same risk for tomorrow. Main mode being damaging winds. I think there will be probably a 2% chance for tornadoes, probably closer to the Ohio River. But once again, that is very, very, very low. I think just everyone needs to be paying attention tomorrow. The main time frame is going to be tomorrow afternoon and evening, going into tomorrow night. Until then, expect thunderstorm activity off and on late tonight, overnight, into Wednesday morning. Why do I keep wanting to say Sunday? Charles, hello, how are you? Main threat for tonight and tomorrow is damaging winds. Once again, I do think there is probably going to be a 2% tornado risk issued for tomorrow night, probably closer to the Ohio River. But again, we have not seen that issued yet, which I'm a little bit kind of baffled by. But that's kind of how I'm thinking things will roll on. Kinsey, I don't really see that happening. I think with this round of storms that you're seeing on your screen right now, this is probably not going to be anything severe. In fact, these are probably going to begin fading here soon. There is the potential for another round. Let me go ahead and put that on here for you. So I see a lot of new people are joining in and asking similar questions. Let's go ahead and show you the new model run coming in on WeatherWise here. Okay, by the way, if you did not know, WeatherWise now has models for free. Here is tonight into the overnight. Let me go ahead and hit the play button. Let it load. My internet's kind of slow sometimes. Okay. This is valid for about right now. And you can see it's doing pretty well. It's doing pretty well. This is going into late tonight. This is around 9 to 10 o'clock. You can see it has some strong thunderstorms around Elizabethtown, Brandenburg, maybe going into Hardinsburg as well, into Lake Litchfield, maybe down toward the caves. I like to call it the caves, toward Bowling Green. Some lighter rains back out there to western Kentucky. And again, that's around 9 o'clock tonight. Those should not be severe. Going into around 11 p.m. to midnight, you'll see another round of storms now entering into western Kentucky. These do have a low chance of being severe. Only real risk would be damaging winds. I would say probably a 1% tornado risk. Again, as low as it gets without being 0%. Some loud thunder showers out there in northeastern Kentucky near Mount Olivet, Maysville, Lexington, so on and so forth. But again, not anything too concerning at all. Around 3 to 4 a.m., that line now enters western Kentucky. And you can see the difference. A lot more purple with this. A lot more purple with this, indicating some heavier downdrafts may be occurring. And again, maybe leading to the chance for some severe weather happening in that northwestern corner of the state around 3 to 5 a.m. Eastern time. And then we're going closer to 6 a.m. You'll see that now makes it into central Kentucky. And by this point, it would likely be just a lot of heavy and loud thunder showers. Again, this is around 5 to 7 a.m. or so. Charles, thank you for your $5 donation. I appreciate that over there on YouTube. Says, enjoy a fish sandwich on me. Thank you very much. And then as we go into the later hours, around 10 a.m. or so, you'll see that has weakened quite a bit, but now has created a nice wall of buckets of water for along in the east of I-65. So tomorrow morning, not really much of a concern when it comes to severe weather, but the overnight between about 2 to 7 a.m. for western and central Kentucky, we could see a few special weather statements or even severe thunderstorm warnings for some damaging wind potential. But again, that's how the model looks over the next 18 hours or so. So let's click off the model now and come back over here to the radar. And here is the live radar once again for you guys. Let me ask you, I'm seeing some talk about tornadoes and shelters and stuff. Do you guys need recommendations on that? Would you guys like some because we have had a couple of shelter companies reach out to us. And kind of give us their plans and their ideas. And I think there's one really good one, if they ever commit to it, Matt. But I think I would be interested in that because again, the tornadic activity in our state. I mean, it's no hidden secret. It's taken a tick up over the last 5 to 6 years, right? I mean, it's just no hidden secret. And most of us in our state either have, underwhelming housing. Let's be honest, okay. The structures of our houses in Kentucky aren't that great, aren't that phenomenal. We've seen EF2 tornadoes wipe out entire subdivisions. So I mean, let me know what you guys think on that. If you guys want some recommendations on where to get, and now you have to be prepared. Tornado shelters are not cheap, okay. But I'm hoping we can work out like a payment plan or something with this company or something. Maybe make it a little bit more affordable for you guys. Because again, you have to remember, tornado shelters are pure concrete and steel. It's not going to be cheap, okay? But I would pay the price a little bit to make sure my family's safe. So, I don't know. I just wanted to see if you guys wanted some more information on that or not. Let me know. I'll try to get that information for you all. They already added a 2% chance for tornadoes in West Kentucky for the last update. Let me check that. I mean, I wouldn't doubt it. Yeah, there it is right there. Just came out. That is for tonight. So again, yeah, and I think that's for, let's go over here, check this while I'm live here with you guys. I want to say that's not for this round that we're seeing now. I want to say that's for the 3 to 7 a.m. time frame that I just talked about. Yeah, not that, this one. Don't freak out, whatever you might see on your screen right here, okay? Yep. Yep. Okay. Okay. I'm kind of taking this in while I'm here with you guys. You guys want me to break this down, or do you want to avoid the nerdy section? Are we ready to learn a little bit, or what? Because I can break this down with you guys, or I can go do it on my own. Either way, I'm going to do it. All right, break it down. Okay. Let me open my pin up. Where's my pin at? Oh, it's right there in the middle of the screen. Okay. I'm going to try to make this as simple as possible, but just know that this is not a simple thing, okay? Because this is probably one of the best. This is what we call a weather sounding, okay? So, is that so thin? Can I make that a little bit bigger by chance? Okay, I think I actually made it smaller there. Bear with me. I have not used this pen in forever. There's got to be a way to make that bigger, right? We'll screw it. We'll roll with it. Okay. Let's just use a blue. That sounds fine. Okay, so don't pay attention to this, right? That's the number one mistake to make. Don't pay attention to that. All right, so this is what we call a weather sounding right here. Basically, on most models or on all models, they spit out, this is what's behind the model. So whenever you're seeing, so for example, if I click off of this, click on this, whenever you're seeing this right here, what the models are is basically a bunch of algorithms and equations and a bunch of numbers and constraints that go into it, and then they spit out an image to what they're going to do, right, or what might happen. Okay, but behind all the pictures that you see here is a bunch of numbers, all right, based upon things that we have learned, algorithms, equations, formulas, and then it then spits out an image based upon what all those results of those math problems are. Okay, and this is kind of the behind the scenes on that. And this kind of tells us a little bit about what's happening on the model here. So first thing that really jumps out to my eyeball is this right here. So this down here, these are your wind profiles as you go up into the atmosphere. So here's your atmosphere over here. This is the ground. This is the upper layers, okay? So this is roughly, let's say, 5,000 feet up, 7,000 feet up, 10,000 feet up, so on and so forth. I might be a little bit off the numbers there, but you get my point, okay? So this is closer to, this is where we are at the ground, and this right here is your temperatures on the bottom bar, and these are your wind profiles as you go up. Now, what I want to do right now is, how can I just, okay, perfect. What I want to do now is kind of get off this for a second, and I'm going to show you, for example, the temperature or the sounding for right now in Western Kentucky. So this is the sounding for right now. You'll see the wind profiles are kind of the same, but the big difference is the hodograph over here. So this is what we call a hodograph. How do I get this to go full screen? Probably turn your phone sideways. Again, this is the hodograph over here, and this is our sounding or QT chart, if you will. And these are all the different energy metrics that we look at, okay, or wind metrics, whatever you want to call it. The biggest difference is you look over here, you kind of see this flat, squiggly line here. This is basically plotting the winds and their direction as you go up into the atmosphere. Now, look at what I look at when I'm looking at about 3 a.m. this morning. See the big difference there? See how this is going really extended, and now we're curving out in as we go up into the atmosphere, right? So that tells me that these storms are not only rotating, but they're being able to lift while they're rotating, and they're going clockwise there. That again indicates rotation might be occurring. What platform? You're on Facebook, so if you click on the Facebook video, so if you click on the video up here, by the way, whoever sent stars, thank you. Lisa, thank you for your stars. Can you all see this okay? Okay, so if you click the video right there, takes off the chat. Down here at the bottom where you see the little cross section of arrows, if you click on that, that should turn your phone sideways and take it full screen. Okay, hopefully that helps. Okay. I'm kind of surprised how many people are still in here wanting to learn about how to read these things. I'm really happy about that though. Okay. So this is our wind profile as we go. This is probably the number one thing that jumps out to me. So most times what you would see is these winds almost always going the same way. These are your wind barbs here kind of telling us the direction. What we see though is that at the surface, our winds are going south to north, okay? Or north to south. I always get wind barbs messed up. I'm not even going to lie about that. I always get the wind barbs messed up. They mess with my brain for some reason. But either way, they're going south to north. And then as we go in and go up into the atmosphere, now they're going west to east, west to east, west to east. So we see literally, quite literally, the winds are going this way at the ground, and then as you go up into the atmosphere, they're turning like this. So we already know the storms are likely going to be rotating, at least vertically. Now the question becomes, do we have anything to knock a storm on its side? So if you didn't know, a storm is always kind of rotating a little bit vertically like this, right? When you get tornadoes to happen, that's because a storm has, for lack of better terms, been knocked onto its side and now it's spinning like this. And then you need something to make it reach the ground and spin like that, right? That's kind of the process there. So now we need to see if there's anything available to make this storm being able to turn into a supercell or anything that may be able to turn it into a cyclonic storm. All right. Which I know I'm messing up some of these words, but I'm trying to make this as simple as possible because the weather world likes to use very big terms to make themselves sound smarter. Okay. Trust me, I know. It took me forever to learn most of the terms here. So looking down here to the bottom, now that we have this, I do also notice something else pretty easily noticeable here. Click onto my pin. You'll see as we go up into the atmosphere here, usually, typically, in a normal scenario, your temperature would just decrease as you go up. That's why when you get into an airplane, you feel very cold once you get up into the atmosphere, because once you get up, the colder it gets. What you'll notice, though, on our red temperature line here is that instead of going up, right, like this, we have this little notch out right here. So you'll notice that is kind of bulged out, and this is what we refer to as a capping inversion. A capping inversion is what you often hear is referred to when we're talking about a lid on the environment or something to help stop storms. So my concern with this is now, typically I would see this. This right here, this number right here is what we're seeing right here. Okay. And usually once the number's over about negative 100, you usually think, okay, storms are going to struggle. But my problem with that in this scenario is that we are so saturated all the way up into almost the 300 to 100, the 300 to 250 millibar layer up there. And I still think storms would be able to get and be able to squeeze out. So my concern with this, with our cap, is actually not that storms wouldn't be able to go. It's that storms may be a little bit more isolated, which is even more bad news. You don't want storms to be isolated. The more that storms are isolated, the more that they have a chance of taking advantage of whatever energy is there. I also look over here, and this really jumps out to me. SRH stands for Storm Relative Helicity. Basically, in very layman terms, it's what allows a storm to spin or kind of bounces out with the shear. Okay? And it right now is over. What I kind of look for is anything over 250. So we see that all those numbers are over 250. What I look for here in the shear column is those numbers to be over about 25. And we'll see that those numbers are over 35 in almost every category there. So to me, this screams a balanced storm profile. And I think that's something that's often overlooked in the weather industry. We always see these crazy numbers like CAPE or shear or storm relative helicity or anything like that. And we go insane thinking this is going to be a mega blockbuster. And then we're always let down because something didn't happen, right? It's because we missed something. So to me, in order for a storm to be really severe or take advantage of its full potential, it needs to be balanced. It needs to be balanced in way of wind shear, in way of storm fuel, in way of storm motion, okay? And so what I see here is a very balanced storm profile when I'm looking at the shear, the helicity, the way the winds are turning as they go up into the atmosphere, the way that our hodograph looks almost so perfectly circular there. So again, that's again showing that the storms are rotating as they're going. I see a storm profile that's saturated. The one thing that I see here that's screaming to me, oh no, this is not going to be severe weather, is that 9 times out of 10 in a situation like this is our dew point or our moisture line, okay? And this screams to me that it's too saturated, it's too wet, it's too moist. Because what you really would want to see here is something, if you've ever seen football, what you want to see here is kind of something that looks more like a goalpost, right? Where you have your dew point line, where you have your dew point line kind of looking like this, and then your temperature line kind of looking like that. That's kind of what you're wanting to see if you're screaming severe weather. If you're wanting, now, again, I'm not wanting severe weather, but I'm just telling you this is what you're looking for. If you want severe weather, that's what you're looking for, and that's what we don't see here. Everything else looks like a severe weather profile. You know, the shear, the helicity. We're looking at the CAPE. The CAPE isn't anything super juicy, but it's there, especially at the mid levels or the mixing layer. Another thing I'm really not seeing is quality lapse rates. So down here at the bottom is your lapse rate section. And really what you want to see is this number over about 6.5. And you'll see that we only see that really in the 850 to 500 millibar layer, which is too far up. We need that closer to the surface. So, but that's not really too much of a limiting factor. I think oftentimes we see it all the time where storms are severe even without great lapse rates. So I think lapse rates are a little bit too looked into, but it still is there. But again, the biggest thing that I'm seeing on this sounding right now is it does look like it does produce the low wind tornado threat, but we might be a little bit too moist. You might just see really large thunderstorms tonight. I mean, really large thunderstorms tonight. So that's kind of how I look at it. Now, obviously, there's way more that I do than just that. I'm just trying to keep it real simple because I don't want to completely lose everybody here. But yeah, so if you just now tune into the video, the reason we broke this down is because they did add, as we were talking here, a 2% tornado risk to Western Kentucky for tonight going into the overnight hours. Again, it's not for the storms that you're seeing now. What it's for is the storms that are going to be coming into your area between 2 to 5 a.m. on Wednesday morning. Again, as you see here, we see multiple rotating cells. I just want to see. Give me 1 second. We're gonna have to zoom out here. Yeah, see, my question is, I think we're going to be too moist for it, though. What am I looking for here? What am I looking for here? What am I looking for here? I forgot what I was looking for. I forgot what I was looking for. I'm not going to lie to you. That happens more than you will ever know. Okay, another thing I want to see is the shear at the surface. Yeah, that looks good. Helicity at the surface. That looks really good. Yeah, so this sounding here toward Henderson looks almost picture perfect for tornadic activity. Okay. The main problem being that we don't have any dry air in here. Again, you need dry air above the storms at some point. Not a whole lot, but you need some sort of dry air up there, or else the storms are going to overmix and just produce a lot of heavier rain. But everything else looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. I just think we're too saturated. But I agree. This is worth a 2% tornado risk for tonight in Western Kentucky. And then by the time it gets to about Central Kentucky, you can just see it balloons into massive thunder showers because all that moist air that we talked about really takes over at that point. I think the reason that storms are allowed to be able to produce severe weather in Western Kentucky is because that little bit of cap that's there. I want to see something real quickly. We have cap there. So, yeah, it is. There's almost no cap in Central Kentucky, but if you look back into Western Kentucky around that time, you'll see there's a cap there. So, again, I think that's why even though it's going to be so moist, I think that's why it's going to be allowed to produce severe weather, or at least stronger potential for severe weather, because the cap is there, helping to keep storms from being able to balloon. But once they run out of that cap and go into Central and Eastern Kentucky, that's where storms balloon into massive thunder showers. There's just a bunch of rain. You'll see here, it's a little bit more isolated, not as many storms, right? Once it gets into Central Kentucky, look what happens. Just massive rain showers. And then Eastern Kentucky, just big rain showers at that point. Yeah. So, yeah, I totally agree with the 2% tornado risk, which, by the way, if you missed it, they did introduce, I need to get this posted. They did introduce a 2% tornado risk for Western Kentucky. Again, I think it's for the 2 a.m. to 7 a.m. time frame. Again, here it is, 2% tornado risk in green right there. Again, I see a lot of people asking about time frames. I think it's probably 2 to 7 a.m. Central Kentucky, it'll be around sunrise, and then by that point, it should be a lot. As you saw there for yourselves, it turns into a massive rain shower risk. Not really severe risk at that point. All right. So if you're just now tuning into this video, it's been a 46-minute video. I got to get back to actually breaking this stuff down and getting some post updates out for you guys. At this point, I don't know if the tornado risk will be expanded. I haven't had enough time to look at the new data coming in. I've been here with you guys, talking with you all. So I need to hop off of here and go look at all the new data coming in. And I'll be able to make a post update here soon. Maybe even another video later on tonight. I'm not sure yet. Kind of breaking down what to expect with some of this new data coming in. Again, my main time frame, guys, for the bulk of severe weather, 2 to 7 a.m. on Wednesday morning for Western Kentucky. and then once again Saturday evening for pretty much all of Kentucky. All right. That said, I'm George Herbig, Chief Forecaster here with W&K. Thank you so much for tuning into this broadcast. If I did not get your question answered, I almost guarantee you at some point throughout this video, I answer that question. So after I hit the end button here, after a few minutes, it will be posted to our pages on Facebook and YouTube. You can go back and watch the video and find the answer to your question. Until next time, stay safe, Kentucky.